In 2013, I had just graduated from college and I was confused about the future. My life was very boring. Later, I found a job as a cashier in a supermarket. At that time, I would come to the supermarket very early every day, wearing uniform work clothes. I stood behind the checkout counter and greeted the customers. The daily work was very monotonous, and the job did not pay well. One weekend, one of my coworkers was out of work because he was sick. The supervisor asked me to fill in for him. I was very unhappy because I was planning to enjoy the weekend. As I was driving to the office, my cell phone suddenly rang. I knew I shouldn't answer the phone while driving, so I just glanced down at the caller ID. It was only 2 seconds, and I didn't notice the red light. My car rushed at a very fast speed into a truck that was moving normally. Time seemed to slow down, and I lost control of my car. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of burning. I was trapped inside the car, and the scene around me was somewhat blurred. I felt severe pain and I was injured in multiple places in my body. As I lost consciousness, I suddenly appeared in a bright glow. The light emitted a warm energy, which penetrated into every corner of my body. It was as if it was washing the bad things in me and replacing them with a pure love. This kind of love was like nothing I had ever felt before. It surpassed any form of love on earth. It is hard for me to describe the intensity of this love in exact words, because it far surpassed everything I had ever experienced before. I had considered my parents' love to be the purest, but it became small even here. This love gave me a feeling of acceptance that was free from any prejudice and just purely embraced me. It had the power to make me feel at peace inside. In that light, I felt endless kindness and compassion. It made me understand that every person is unique and precious and deserves to be loved and respected. This experience changed my understanding of love. Love is a selfless devotion. A power that transcends personal gain. It made me understand that love is the essence of our innermost being, the bond that connects us to others. Suddenly, I appeared in a white room. This white color did not make my eyes feel uncomfortable, but rather gave a sense of tranquility. In this room, 3 other people were with me. One of them was a tall man. His body emitted a bright glow that made him look as if he was surrounded by light. His eyes were full of wisdom, making one feel his authority and warmth. The second man is an elegant woman. She was wearing a flowing white robe. Her eyes were bright and gentle, and her smile gave a sense of comfort, as if she were an eternal guardian watching over every soul. The third person is a young and mysterious man. He wore a dark blue robe and exuded an aura of mystery around him. All 3 of these people exuded a divine energy that made me feel calm. This white room became a sacred place, an existence beyond reality. In this room, time seemed to stop. They emitted a dazzling light that made the whole room brighter. One of them spoke to me telepathically. His voice did not come from his mouth, but was communicated directly in my mind. He told me that I would see my past life. The colors of the room began to soften and a kind of giant screen appeared in front of my eyes. I saw my childhood and recalled those innocent and happy times. These images made me re-experience the emotions of the time. Sometimes I would laugh, sometimes I would shed tears. I understand that these are the precious moments in my life that have shaped who I am now. Each decision has had an impact on me and others. After it was over, one of the people asked me what I had learned from all of this. I expressed my opinion that I don't like to see my actions hurt others. I want my actions to help others, not cause them harm. The other person seemed satisfied with my answer. He told me that it was time for me to return to my body. However, I was filled with resistance inside. I insisted that I did not want to go back because my body had just been in a car accident. I did not know what condition it was in, and it might be safer and more comfortable to stay here. I was concerned about the possible after effects or injuries that might occur. Even though I expressed my wishes, it was clear that I did not have a choice. They explained to me that I had to return to my body because I had to continue to grow and learn. They assured me that they would watch over me in silence. I also realized that staying in this white room would not solve the reality of the problem. These 3 men told me that my family and friends were waiting for me and that they would do everything possible to help me. I had to face the reality and accept the challenges that could happen. They told me that they would always be there for me, in the darkness and in the light. As they guided me, I felt a powerful force surrounding me. The scene around me began to blur, and it was as if I had awakened from a dream. When I opened my eyes, I was surprised to find myself lying in my bedroom bed. This made me feel extremely confused, because I felt like I should be in a hospital, not at home. I heard a man's voice coming from downstairs, and I thought it was my father. So, I was ready to go downstairs to find him. However, when I got downstairs, I saw a strange man on the phone. He looked about my age, but I had never seen him before. This strange man walked quickly toward me. My heart was filled with fear, and I wondered why he was in my house. I tried to recall memories of him, but nothing came to mind. The strange man came closer and closer to me, and I felt very uneasy. So I warned him not to come near me, or I would call the police. However, this warning didn't stop him, and he grabbed me from behind. I started shouting, trying to get the attention of others. This man was confused by my reaction and asked me, "What's wrong with you? Are you crazy?" He claimed that he was my husband and that we had been married for 2 years. To prove his claim, he took out his phone and showed me the wedding photo. I was very shocked when I saw the photo. I could not find any information about our marriage in my mind. This made me even more confused and frustrated as to why I had no recollection of this man. At this man's insistence, I was taken to the hospital. During my first night in the hospital, while I was questioning my mental state, the man who had helped me review my life suddenly appeared beside me. His presence surprised me, and I couldn't help but ask him, "Is everything that happened here real?" He smiled and replied, "Yes, due to a mistake, you appeared in the wrong universe." He explained that there are many parallel universes in the world, each with another self. Sometimes, for some reason, a person will travel to the wrong universe. He went on to explain that everything I experienced was real, including the white room. "Now, let me take you back to where you belong." He assured me that I would go back to where I belonged, to my old life. The man reached out and gently touched my shoulder, and I felt a subtle energy pass into my body. Then, the scene around me began to blur, as if time and space were rebooting. When the scene became clear again, I found myself back at the place where the crash occurred. I saw parts of the vehicle scattered on the road, and ambulances and police officers were busy dealing with the scene. After a while, I once again felt severe pain. I couldn't be sure where I was until I heard the voice of a firefighter. He reassured me to hold on, that they would get me out of this situation as soon as possible. Firefighters were using cutters to cut metal. The sound of violent scraping filled my ears. I struggled to stay awake. firefighters opened a part of the vehicle. Paramedics carried me to the ambulance. The sound of the ambulance echoed in my ears. I struggled to stay awake, but the pain was unbearable. I looked out the window, and the scene outside became very blurry. The doctors worked for nearly 6 hours after I was wheeled into the operating room. When I woke up in bed, the doctor told me how lucky I was. Not only had I survived the crash, but I had no injuries to my brain or spine. My sister was allowed into the hospital room to visit me. She told me how worried she was about me. I asked my sister if my husband had come to the hospital. Her expression became very surprised. She told me that I was not married and did not have a husband. My sister suggested having the doctor re-examine my head to make sure no after effects had occurred. Her concern made me realize that my previous experience might have given me false memories. I began to undergo more tests and evaluations to determine if there were other potential effects. I began to question my mental state and ponder whether what I had experienced earlier was real or a hallucination. My mind was filled with confusion and the hope that I would find answers at the same time. The year after the accident, I began to hear people talking about the Mandela effect. I became very interested in it and began to research it. In my exploration of the Mandela effect, I discovered that the phenomenon may be related to the existence of multiple universes. According to some theories, when someone travels to the wrong universe, their memories can conflict. In addition to the Mandela effect, I also learned about a condition known by doctors as foreign accent syndrome. This is a very rare but real symptom. In some cases, people wake up in a coma state and their verbal expressions suddenly change to a foreign language they have never been exposed to before. When they return from another universe to their own, their memories may conflict. Some theories suggest that it may be related to neural connections in the brain. I understand that many people are atheists and are skeptical of the experience I have described. However, the experience did happen to me, and it was the most memorable experience of my life.